Are you getting ripped off by these money traps that you do not even know about, causing you to stay stuck in a middle-class rat race? If you do not stay away from these traps, it can hurt your finances and keep you dependent on a paycheck. Many people do things on autopilot and do not realize that these simple things are keeping them from making the money they want. No matter how much you earn, it can seem like you never get enough extra money to spend in a meaningful way. If you avoid these middle-class money traps, especially the very last one, you can get out of the rat's race and have enough money to live the life you want. Not knowing what you're invested in. Learning how to invest could be the best thing you can do to make sure you have a comfortable retirement, because the majority of your assets over time will be the result of interest from your investments. Only if you know what you are investing in and the pros and cons of other options, then only you can be sure you are making the best investment decisions for your own situation. Listening to friends and family who aren't financially stable or blindly taking the advice of a financial professional is gambling with your future. Just imagine two situations where you invest $10,000 and continue investing $500 per month for 30 years. With a return of 7% per year, the total amount would be $682,000. With an annual return of 10%, the total amount would be just over $1,260,000. That is a difference of $578,000. It could be what you miss out on if you put your money in the wrong investments. Actively trading. Trying to beat the market by buying and selling speculative investments when the market moves in different ways is a losing strategy. Skilled people like Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch, who runs a hedge fund, can sometimes do better than the market. But for them as well, that this is hard to do consistently because of things like investment fees, taxes, and your own feelings. If you can get the same average return as the S&P 500, which is 10% per year, you will be doing better than most investors. It is tempting to try to time the market by selling at the top and buying at the bottom. But this is far more difficult than it appears. When people try to do this, they end up paying more attention to short-term changes than to their long-term goals, which is what they should be doing. Not planning taxes. Focusing on your biggest expenses like housing and transportation is one of the best ways to make the most of your money. But taxes are often the thing that costs you the most. Because of this, it makes sense to pay attention to what the rich do and figure out how to pay the least amount of tax possible. There are many legal ways to lower the amount of taxes you have to pay, such as with IRAs, 401ks, and Roth IRAs. More detailed video on how to pay less on taxes is linked in the description as well as in the pinned comments. When it comes to taxes, investing in real estate is also a good idea. Mortgage interest, insurance, and expenses help reduce your taxable income, and the property can be depreciated further, reducing your tax liability. The way you earn money is also a big part of the puzzle. Through expenses and write-offs, business owners have many ways to lower their taxable income, but employees do not have as many ways to do this. Working with a CPA to learn how to get the most out of your tax situation will help you keep much more of your income. Sometimes as much as 30% or more. So, make sure to plan about your taxes as it can play a big role in your finance game changer. Being unwilling to make changes. If you're not willing to make small changes now and then to make things better, you could miss out on a lot of growth. People usually fear change because they want to stay in their comfort zone. They do not want to go into something they do not know, but sometimes it is necessary to get ahead. One example of change is moving to a less desirable place because it will give you enough extra money to help you reach the next step. Or taking in a roommate so you can finally start paying off debt, investing, or starting a business with full force. Maybe a new job comes up that pays $20 more per hour than your current job, but it would mean getting a new boss and working with new people in a new place. Not buying a house. Buying a home could be one of the best investments you can make, but you have to be careful. This could be a great way to improve your finances if you meet the requirements for home ownership. The most recent information from the Federal Reserve shows that the average net worth of a homeowner was $255,000, while the average net worth of a renter was just over $6,000. One big reason for this is that most homeowners build equity in more than one way. Every month, They pay a little more on their mortgage until they no longer have to. The home's price is likely to go up. In the future, this asset could lead to new opportunities because it can be rented out, sold, and the money used for something else. Or the home's equity could be used to get a loan. Also, when you own a home, your housing costs stay pretty much the same. Costs for utilities, taxes, and repairs go up a little bit each year. But for the most part, they stay the same because the price paid for the house will not change. Not taking risks. Risk is an important part of growth, and if you do not take risks, you will never get anywhere. How would you expect to get ahead in life if you never took a chance? Whenever you want to move forward, you need to evaluate the risk and reward to make a good choice. This could be about getting a new job, switching careers, or starting a business that might not work out. But if it does, the payoff could be huge. This kind of big change is definitely risky. What if you do not like it? Suppose the money is not what you thought it would be. When you invest, your money is always at risk, whether you are buying a house or keeping cash in a country where prices are rising. You can limit the bad things that could happen if you take these risks by being ready in case things do not work out, like having enough money saved up or a plan B. Claiming you don't care about money. People who are poor often say, "I do not care about money," which means they are fine with being broke and being taken advantage of by a boss. How could this be true if same people work 40 hours or more every week, 50 weeks a year, or bring home less than what they'd want? The money they make now affects almost every choice they make in their lives. They live in a home they can afford, not one they would choose if money were no object. Where do they mostly spend their time? Working, of course. When someone says they do not care about money, they do not care about having a lot of money or buying material things. If you do not care about getting rich, that is fine. But caring about money isn't a bad thing. Money affects every part of our lives after all. Thinking none of these will work for you. One mentality that will never allow you to get ahead is believing none of these principles will work for you. They might work for other people, but they won't work for me because it may seem like you just can't dig yourself out of a hole. But there are almost always options based on your current circumstances. This might not be what you want to hear. But the truth is, many of those individuals who claim none of these tips work for them are unwilling to make the necessary sacrifices, life changes, or take the necessary risks. In order to improve a situation, it may require discomfort or an inconvenience. Some people find it easier than others to make money, but these tips could help you live a better life. Which of these money traps that keep you trapped in the middle class do you fall into? And which are you willing to avoid? It is important to notice these habits so you can make the right changes. There is no hard rocket science behind making small adjustments to avoid these traps, but you must begin avoiding these toxic traps now, and you'll be glad you did.